right, Twisted Big D. Just wanted to answer some questions and reply to some of these comments. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing in this video. We're going to really be keeping this kind of maybe how I would talk in general as opposed to how I would necessarily be talking on YouTube all the time. One thing I can say is I bought this little massager thing. It's supposed to be like a deep muscle massager. Man, I used that thing for about 15 minutes before it broke down. So I got to send that back to Amazon. But I really like that. That would be good to have on the truck. You want to come over here, Frankie? You want to come here, Frankie? Come here. Man, this is the way it's supposed to be. This is the way I normally would be. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, Sam, I'm going to tell you what I heard. I don't really go over there to Truckers Coach all that much, but I did hear what you had to say on his channel, and I 100% stand behind what you said on that channel. What's up, Taco Truck? Larry Highland, one of my boys from the cooking sector over there, more into my barbecue-related channel and everything. But anyway, just wanted to answer some questions. You know, there were some prime questions coming in. I don't think that a lot of people that are in here right now are kind of worried about those. But I wanted to just kind of talk, you know, kind of go over some of these comments that were sent on my page. So obviously everybody was talking about how fly I look with my hairdo. So, you know, that's what's up with that. But anyway, just got out of LA. So let me talk about that because I really kind of touched on it in my last video. Some people are going to say, you know, I should have called. Listen, I tried calling, tried doing all this other kind of stuff, but I got a load that was picking up out in LA. The address that they had in the system and in the Qualcomm was a downtown LA address. I knew I was in the wrong place once I was like right in the middle of downtown. So ended up popping my hood up, made it look like I was kind of broke down, called up dispatch. You know, they were kind of trying to give me the runaround, and I told them this was not the time to be fucking with me. So they hurried up and got back with me, gave me the correct address, and I got there on time. But that's a little bit of stress messing around in that downtown LA area. And I'm not talking about on the outskirts. I'm talking about like in the middle of that town or in the middle of LA. So what they'd done was instead of having the shipper or the shippers, you know, the shipping address on there, they had the corporate address, which took me down into LA, and that was like horrible. Anyway, you know, so everybody was talking about this money, and then that's one of the questions I got to get to. So, you know, the only reason I was even talking about the dollars per mile, because I really don't care, to be honest with you. You know, I hear everybody on here, not necessarily here, but I hear a lot of people complaining about rates and stuff like that, you know, primarily your owner operators. But, you know, I've never complained about rates. I really don't even talk about rates until people were asking about it. So then I went out of my way and said, you know what? Let me answer the question. So I put up how much I made on the last 3 loads. Some of them, you know, a couple of them paid really good dollars per mile. One of them paid good dollars per day, but not good dollars per mile. And a comment from Titus Johnson said, what? 1,500 miles, $1,900? What are you smoking? That's crap. Listen, it's $1,900 over the course of 3 days. I'm all, you know, that's enough money for me, even if the dollars per mile isn't all that great. And I did make up for it on the other 2 loads that were clearly over $2 a mile on those. Yeah, man, I don't like, see, I'm not going to end up in Times Square because I ain't going down there. So, you know, that was a comment. You know, I'm hearing a lot of stuff about, you know, somebody asked me how the Grapevine treated me. You know, so almost everybody's been in trucking, been on the Grapevine out in California. And the only problem with the Grapevine is all these trucks are going all these different speeds, and you only have like 2 lanes to get in, and there's a ton of trucks going down there. So, I was stuck behind a truck going like 15 miles an hour, almost down the entire thing, going the one direction. Coming back the other way was fine, but I'm not a fan of, I used to like going out to California. I'm not a fan anymore. Uh, I want to know how you stay so positive, books, religion. If that question was asked to me, it's just old age, man. And when you start getting, I feel a little blurry. Hold on a second. When you start getting up in my age, like in them 50s, you start putting things a little bit more in perspective, and you're not necessarily tripping out as much about as much stuff as you would when you're younger. But listen, whether it's really, what I want to say in this is I'm accountable for whatever decisions I made. So if I became an owner operator and I put myself in a position where I'm not profitable right now, then I got to live with that. I'm not going to be blaming the market. I'm not going to be blaming the rates. I'm going to blame me for being in that position and not being prepared to be in that position. So I normally don't, I'm going to go through what I need to go through. I haven't seen a drop in rates. Everybody's been telling me I'm going to see a drop in rates. Everybody's telling me to come and see them when I'm eating ramen noodles and going broke, but that hasn't happened yet. Man, Sam, people are complaining. I saw a video somebody has sent me about these guys that were, I think his name was Rick Santiago, and he's down outside of the White House, and he's hold on, I'll get to that brisket rub. But he's down near the White House, and they're protesting broker rates and all this kind of stuff. So I thought the video was funny because, they're doing this video, and then they have all these people that are there, and then they have everybody saying, my name is such and such, and I'm an American trucker, and all these guys were foreigners, which wasn't the problem. I mean, what the problem was is, one thing people know about me from being in the mortgage industry is I am the type of person to do a little bit of research on people. So I kind of looked up this guy's Facebook page, and all the Facebook posts from 2018 and back were deleted. So all that time period when he was most likely bragging about what rates he was making, how much money he was making, all that was deleted. The only thing that was left was, 2000, right around this time that the rates dropped and forward. So, I understand that now is a bad time in the market for people that are driving trucks, primarily owner operators. And I hope that, the bounce back is going to be so good that it's going to be, that's one thing that people keep forgetting. So by the time they get to the White House, if this actually happens and get anything changed, by the time that happens, the rates are going to be coming around, and all you're going to be doing is hurting your case on, you're just going to be hurting your position. But that's not really what I want to talk about here. Somebody asked how long I'm going to be home. I'm going to be honest with you. This last run, listen, I'm not about that life. I'm the first one to tell you. But before I get to that, brisket rub, pretty much. Somebody asked everyday barbecue. Obviously, my boy, what's my go-to brisket rub? It could be anything. There's nothing that's go-to. It's just lightly seasoned. I think people over-season briskets a lot. I'm not sure I could. Fork Finger asked, would I consider training another Colorado-based driver? And I'll be honest with you. This last trip in LA, I think exposed me a lot. And I'm the first one to tell you, if I see flaws, I'm going to tell you what they are. And I think overall as a driver, I'm pretty tight and stuff like that. But there's just certain back-end situations. Like, I'm not sure if anybody saw that picture where I ended up having to back off of a street in Burbank with a lot of cars and action going around. That is, when I get to a point where I look at that, I mean, I did get it in and all that kind of stuff, but when I get to a point where I get that in without even questioning myself, or I just pull up and don't even hesitate, that might be when I think about training. But I'm not, I think about me training the same way as I thought about me leaving my trainers. I like to be over prepared, and I want to do it for the right reasons. I will never train anybody for money alone. The reason I would train somebody would be to pay it forward, because somebody needed to train me or I wouldn't be here. So I just can't say I'll never train, even though that might not be something I want to do. It's not that I don't want to do it. I'm just not sure it's worth going through all the headache to do it. And I'm not there yet, so when I get there, then I'll kind of think about it. But that last trip out to LA, leaving Springfield, going out to the LA area, messing around out there for a few days, that really, I don't even want to see this truck. So my fleet manager asked me when I was planning on coming out, and I said, don't contact me, I'll contact you. I don't even want to see that truck for a few days, because I'm not about that life. That's what I was going to get to. Listen, there's people that are about this life, that like being out there for, a month, 2 months at a time. I was out for 2 months. That is way too much time for me. I could maybe do a month, maybe 40 days, but I can't roll like that. That just wore me out, especially ending up in LA. And all this coronavirus stuff that's going on, and, it really messed with my eating and everything, because I used to like getting those salads at Iron Skillet, stuff like that. So then that was kind of taken away, and it was just a hard month. Or, it was a hard 2 months, but that last month with the deer hitting me and the car hitting me and paying all those deductibles and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, as far as the training goes, there were people that I went to training with, they were in my orientation class and stuff like that, that are actually training people right now. And, I think somebody's temperament has a lot to do with more than their ability when it comes to training. So I don't think you have to necessarily be the best driver to be a good trainer. So, and as far as the referral bonus codes go, I just haven't really I've been meaning to do that, but I'm not really too focused on doing any referrals or anything like that. I said I was going to wait for my year to be up before I did it, and I will get around to doing that, but not too worried about all that stuff right now. So let me get to these comments, because some of these comments were a little reckless. So somebody had commented and said that you can't make money on a prime, and then he called it a fleece. And I guess it really all depends on how much money you're talking about making. But this comment was from Mike Reed, and he says, what kills me is that I heard when I was thinking about going lease is that you can't make money going home every 2 weeks. And he said, I guess I'm a special case because I go home every 2 weeks and I'm making good enough money. And then he said, for me. And that's really what it comes down to in any of this trucking business stuff, whether you're a company, lease, owner, operators, how much money do you need to make? As far as my household goes, we're pretty frugal as far as how we spend money, stuff like that. My wife has a good job. We have our insurance through there. So in reality, almost every single dollar I make from trucking is almost money that could just be saved. So I don't need to, really make a lot of money to do what I need to do, which I think is what pisses some people off about some of these, let's just call them foreigners, because that's what they always refer to them as, is the foreigners are like killing our rates and stuff like that. Well, that might be true, but if somebody can run at that, then they can run at that. I mean, I don't know, I really don't choose the dollars that I run on, but I mean, I can turn it down, but I really don't think about that much as long as I'm making the money I need to make, whether it be cents per mile, dollars per day. And when I think about cents per mile, think about this. Let's say somebody told you, listen, I got a load. It's going from Wichita, Kansas to Dodge City, Kansas. That's about 100 miles or 75 miles, whatever it is. It's going to pay $15,000, but it delivers in 30 days. So at that point, the cents per mile doesn't matter. I think a lot of people get more caught up in cents per mile. So on that particular load I was talking about before, if you take $1,900, break that down into 3 days, to me, that pays good enough for me, even though the cents per mile isn't all that good. I don't know if this comment was for me. Was your trainer a butthole working you 100 hours a week? My trainer, boy, I'm going to tell you, we were running and gunning. I'm telling you, me and my trainer were, I mean, an average week would be like 6,800 miles. You know, I think we were always being 60 on the low end. I think maybe we did like a 5 here and there, but we were always like around that 7,000 a week range, something like that. And Sam, it doesn't matter what you do, everyone's not going to be successful. You know, everybody's not going to be successful. And one thing I could tell you, and this is just from being in business, banking, is that sometimes you could just look at people's application and tell if they're going to be able to make it right off the bat. And a lot of times, the difference isn't who's better. There's always going to be somebody better that's going out of business and somebody that's really not all that good. A lot of it has to do with how long, basically your reserves. If you want to ask me what the key is to any business, whether it be trucking, donut shop, or whatever, is how long can you survive without any income coming in? That right there is going to tell me if you're going to be able to be successful or not. The other stuff is going to fall into place usually. How long do I plan on trucking? Does Prime have? Okay, does Prime Flatbed keep company drivers moving? Well, I really don't know about Prime Flatbed. There was a girl on here that was posting videos. She was doing well. I don't know how that's going, but I plan on a 5-year plan. You know, I have my truck I ordered that's supposed to come in, and people are saying I'm overpaying for a truck. Listen, maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but I'm not looking at the cost of the truck. I'm looking at the net that's coming in. Is it enough for me? But my plan is 5 years. So get the truck. It should be paid off in 3 years. I'm going to pay it off in 1.5 years. So that's going to give me the duration of hopefully paid off in 1.5 years. That's going to give me the remainder of that 5 years to run without any payments. And then hopefully I'll be set up to, retiring is kind of hard with the healthcare being as expensive as it is, but maybe I could be that guy. The best job in the world, the guy at Costco that puts that little blue line on your receipt. That's what I want to do in like 5-6 years. Mob Entertainment. I did flatbed, been riding pretty good, but sat 2.5 weeks. But yeah, you set yourself up to where you can sit 2.5 weeks. Some people aren't able to sit 2.5 weeks. So I commend anybody that has that forethought to put that money aside for times like this, or at least be able to weather the storm. Yep, meat packing plants. Looking at them cattle haulers, I mean, I love meat, but that almost makes me want to go vegetarian right there. I can't stomach that. Let's see. What's up, Ray Mac? Aiming and claiming smokers. What's up, brother? Yeah, my truck's not supposed to be in until September, so I think that coronavirus might be over by then. Okay, so JB, is the lease purchase weekly payment the same as a regular lease? Okay, so here's kind of what the gist was that I got. The payment's going to be about the same. So here's the difference. So on a lease purchase, you're putting down, let's say, $14,000. Now, for every year you've leased with Prime, $1,000 gets taken off of that, and then the minimum down payment will be $8,000. So I haven't leased a year, so I have $14,000. Now the truck that I picked, I added, I think, $2,700 in upgrades. It was either 17 or 27. I think it was 27 because I got the leather seats, keyless entry, some upgraded headlights, and then like some some stainless steel mud flaps or something, and that's about it. So I needed to put down the accessories in cash plus the $14,000. Now the $14,000 total isn't due until the truck comes in, but I had to put down 1,000 of that, and then I had to put down the amount for the accessories. So you have to put down, let's make it simple. You have to put down 14, let's just forget the accessories. On the lease purchase, you have to put down $14,000 plus you get 1,000 off for every year you leased. When you're done leasing the truck in 3 years, you get the truck, as opposed to if you leased a truck for 3 years at Prime, you'll put zero money down and you might get a lease completion bonus of, let's say, $15,000. So if you take the $15,000 roughly that you're not putting down for the truck plus the $15,000 that you're getting on the lease completion bonus, that's $30,000. So the difference is whatever you think that a 3-year-old truck is worth minus the $30,000 is kind of what you make on it, in a sense. That's the only benefit. Ray Mac, I'm tired, man. I got off the road Monday and I've been in a coma ever since. I haven't really done anything. Would I do local driving, like home every night, stuff like that? Local driving's for young people. I'm telling you, 51 years old. I'm not out there trying to lift a bunch of stuff around, man. I'm telling you, like 15 years ago, I would have been all good to go with all that stuff. But, once you start getting old, your knees start creaking a little bit more. Your hip might be hurting a tad bit. It's just not the same. And anybody that's like 50 remembers when they were 40 saying, I'm never going to feel that way. Then they turn 50 and they do feel that way. So local is just too much work. Plus, if you do something regional out of Colorado, I'm not trying to hit I-80 and I-70 and all that stuff all the time. I'd rather just be out there in the Southeast, Midwest, all that kind of stuff. Stan, I don't need to be making all kinds of dough, but I think I will. I have been making enough money for me, and that's really all that matters. I mean, I did talk a little bit about how much money I was making, but either I was making too much or I wasn't making enough, and people were like hitting me on both sides, so I really didn't want to go down that too much. But I'm making good enough money, and I don't, like I said, I never became a lease driver because I thought I would make more money than company. I went lease because I wanted the freedom. I wanted the freedom of bringing my ass home and being able to say, don't call me, I'll call you. When I'm ready to roll out, I'll roll out. I'm not going to be on this 4 or 5 day thing or have them, I just talked to somebody, company driver, and he had some medical stuff going on. So he was going to have some surgery. He was going to be out of his truck for, I think it was like 11 days. They made him clean out his truck for 11 days. I don't know. I couldn't do it. What's up, Pookie or Poochie, however you want to say that one? How many hours a week do you work and do you get any days off? Listen, that was a surprise about coming into trucking. I don't know what I was thinking about trucking. I thought it was like you get a load and then you'd like drive it there or do whatever, and then you like get a break. Like you go to a truck stop or whatever and sit around, and then maybe the next day you get a load, and then you. This is like, it's almost like this is the only job I've ever worked where you actually go out of your way to manipulate the system to make it seem like you're working less hours than you actually do. So if we have a 70-hour clock, I would almost guarantee you that it's at least an 80 or 90-hour week. It's a lot more work. I've said it's the easiest job I've ever done in my life, including Burger King, but it's the most work I've ever done. And that is including it's a tie with the Marine Corps. All right. See, Twisted D has it right. What's a day off? You literally have to run your hours completely out or tell your dispatcher not to dispatch you a certain day to get a day off, or they will just keep running you. And listen, I'm really not about that life. I like to relax a little bit. There's times when I've dropped off a load. I got an hour and a half left on my clock. I think I'm about to relax. And next thing I know, I got a load coming over. So a load coming over that's picking up in there might be a window of time, but I have an hour and a half to get over there, get a washout, pick it up, and then go to the truck stop and shut down. I mean, I did not realize it was going to be this busy. Sorry about the dogs, but my dogs are not about that trucker life either. I don't know how people keep dogs on their truck. Yeah, there's no way I'd be. See, I used to be a bouncer at a bar back in the day, so I used to be carrying them kegs and stuff like that. There's no way I could even think about doing that right now. Oh, my dogs are come here. Come here. I got two little dogs. See, I got a Yorkie Maltese and a Yorkie Poodle, so they're both about that big. You know what I'm saying? Like that. See, everything I do, I think about money. So my wife wanted to get dogs back in the days. I think my older one she might be 8 or 9 years old. I want her to go get a used dog, but she went and got a new dog, and then she got another new dog. But I was like, listen, these have got to be little dogs. So I'm not getting broke off and no food. And I mean, these guys, you can't even go find their shit when they go outside. So that's the best thing about them. See, here's the thing about what do you do if you have dogs and you're at a shipper and they say no dogs allowed and you're there for like 12 hours or something like that? Yeah, used dog. If anybody can tell me what movie that came from, that's old school right there. I know there's somebody that remembers. I know people here have seen that movie. They just may not remember that line in the movie. What's up, Booger? I was just down in your neck of the woods. Upper Georgia area. Or not upper, lower Alabama area, excuse me. No, Georgia, excuse me. The movie where they referred to the dog as a used dog was Half Baked. See, I couldn't have a dog on a truck because as soon as my dog started having an issue, like if the dog needed to go to the vet and the load needed to get there, the load would not get there. The dog would go to the vet. So I just choose not to even put myself in a position like that. Let me find some more of these comments, though. No, I'm not a trainer for Prime. Not sure if I will be doing that anytime soon. Somebody made a comment about my Super Trucker headset, but like I had mentioned earlier, that bounty is $100. If you happen to see me out and about, what's up? If you happen to see me out and about outside of my truck with that headset on, it's $100 on the spot. Yeah, I don't know about no blow-up dolls or nothing like that. Do I ever dislike lease purchase? I don't have a problem with the lease. You know, I think some people get hung up on what the payment is, but I get more hung up on what the net is every week. So a lot of lease people do better than me because they don't. Well, this last run, I stayed out for 2 months, but a week of that run, I was at the terminal getting my truck fixed because I got hit by a deer and I got hit by a car. So needed some major work done on it. So even though I was out 2 months, the money didn't come in like 2 months because I ended up having to pay deductibles on those two, even though they weren't my fault. That was something I knew about when I got into it. Now, I'm assuming the girl didn't have insurance in St. Louis. I haven't even asked that question, but I already know the answer to that. So I'm not really worried about that. Then being down a week, not making any money, and I spent some money for lodging during that time. Now, I could have spent less money, but I decided to stay at the Oasis Hotel doing that. So I look at the net. I don't care about what the price or what the payment is or anything like that, because if I'm running and I'm making money and I'm netting what I need to net, why do I even care what the payment is on the truck? All right, Ken, good luck at orientation. Am I suing the car that hit me? I'm going to tell you this story about how this happened. A lot of people, before I get to that story, a lot of people that lease trucks do train. And if they train, I'm all fine with that as long as they're doing it for the right reason. If they're training for the money, I don't specifically. Now, the money is a good component of that. But if that's why you're doing it, I don't think that's the real reason to be a trainer. As far as suing this girl or guy, I think it was a girl, but it's hard to sue people that ain't got shit. So let me tell you a story. So I'm coming down I-70 and I'm about to make this interchange. Now, if I'm driving through a major city that has a lot of on-ramps, I'll get in the middle lane or the lane over to the right. But I needed to get in the right-hand lane to make this change. You ain't going to catch me. So I move over to the right lane because I'm about to make this interchange on, I'm about to get on a different highway. So I'm over in this lane for about a mile. As I'm coming up to this highway exchange, a car is coming off an on-ramp. Now, I don't know if you know how these on-ramps are in St. Louis, but they kind of come down like this, but they almost dump in behind you. So I'm coming, the car's coming, and it hits me right by the gas tank. And hits the gas tank, busts up my APU, dents my gas tank, tears up my fairing, and then it bounces off of my truck and goes off the highway into the grass, through a fence, up this like still going forward into this like neighborhood, hits the car up in that neighborhood, and is almost like about to go down the next down ramp or on ramp. So I get the truck stopped and I'm looking back and I'm seeing this accident back here, but I'm not thinking that that's the accident that hit me, because why would that car be so far ahead? I didn't know it went through all that. So anyway, I call the police, put my little triangles out, and I'm about to go back and see what's up with the car because I'm a little pissed off right now. But I start walking towards this car, and the neighborhood empties out like it's fucking training day and Macy Gray's calling people and shit. So I was like, well, let me just go chill out in the car right quick, or in the truck. So cops come, everything like that. And, they tell me that she got, or that I guess there's two people in the car. They were, injured, nothing major, anything like that. And anyway, I was gone like, 20 minutes after the cops showed up. So not that big of a deal. Everybody asked me if they got hurt and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. I think they got hurt just enough, but nothing serious. Yeah, and these guys, it was like a tore up ass like 1994 Nissan Altima with faded paint on it and everything. And like I said, when I started walking back there, that car hit another car up in that neighborhood. And if you guys are familiar, they got those row houses that are kind of along the highway. So, I'm not sure if it was because the coronavirus or what. It would probably be like this any day of the week or any day of the year. But that place, like seriously, as soon as I started walking up there, it looked like it was training day. Everybody coming outside, and I was like, nah. So I'm on the phone with the safety department. They're like, well, did you get a picture of your truck? I was like, yeah. Did you get a picture of their car? I was like, no. It's like, well, why not? Or no, could you get one? I was like, I don't think that's going to happen. Why not? I was like, man, I'm not sure this is the best environment to be walking up trying to take no pictures of. So we're going to have to worry about that one later. Yep. And like I said, I don't really care if it's recorded out. If I was really, really making this like a career, I'd be worried about all that stuff. But, it is what it is. I can't change it. So I'm not worried about anything showing up on my record or anything like that. Now, if I was a real trucker, I might be worried about it, but I'm not. Okay. But I have more respect for truckers than I ever thought I would have. I don't look at other truckers from the inside. I look at other truckers from the outside looking in, because I don't really think that I'm almost worthy enough to put myself in their category, because I don't, I'm not really about that life. So I do respect people that are all about that. Somebody was asking me about barbecue. Let me find that. What you cooking? Richard Trucking Cuisine, man. I haven't even thought about cooking. I haven't thought about anything since I got here. I think this whole coronavirus thing has kind of thrown I really don't want to leave and go out and do anything. I went to the store for a little bit because I was going to go there anyway. and I got some tuna. Obviously, boom, definitely got to rock these out on the truck. I ran out of these, which was part of the problem with my last month on the truck. I'm going to get like 200 of these for my next run out. I asked actually my son and my daughter if they wanted to come out for a while this next run, but my son didn't want to, and my daughter has some things that may not be conducive with the trucking industry right now, but I was definitely going to do that. So that would just be a good way to get them, instead of sitting their asses around here, get them out there. But I'm not even sure how that would work with storage and everything. And having a woman, if my daughter wanted to go, how that's going to run. Because, a guy, you could be kind of gangster on the truck. You know what I mean? If you're going to training in Salt Lake City, there ain't shit out there. There ain't shit out there. Bring your car if you go to Salt Lake City. If you have a car, you're good to go. If you don't, you're going to be stuck in that hotel, and there ain't shit out there. TJ, I just spoke with TJ on the phone earlier today. He's somebody that I met up at Pittston, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months ago, a month and a half ago. And we talk every now and then, since his trainer is a solar powered trucker. So he's usually running nights. So we usually talk during the nights if that happens to be my shift. All right, Booger, I'm going to check you out later. I need to try to get some videos out on my cooking channel, but man, it's hard to get motivated to do that. Low going from Tracy to Boston, 7 G's. Well, how many miles is that? See, one thing I could tell you is the loads I've been getting have all been different. So I know that some Prime people that I know that have been at Prime have got the same loads, like kind of consistently, so they can compare load to load. I've never really had the same exact load 2 times. I may have picked up the same place but went somewhere else. Now, if somebody wants to talk about the mistakes I've made in trucking, number one, is going deep down into Florida. That's the first mistake on a number of different levels. I will not do that again unless it's a huge payout. It just doesn't make sense from a parking standpoint, from a money standpoint, from any standpoint. I won't do that. So my mistake was going into Florida at decent money, but not a lot. And then coming out of Florida, they wanted to give me some floral load. It was paying a lot of money, but I'm not all about them 10-drop loads. So I took a Tropicana load out that paid probably 80 cents a mile from there all the way to Indiana. That has been my biggest mistake in trucking. That whole exchange right there. As far as the DMs go, Trucker Lee, my dispatcher is good. My dispatcher runs me too hard, actually. There's times when I want to relax. Everybody's talking about this time between the loads, and I'm like getting them like immediately, even faster than I want. So my dispatcher's fine. I just treat him with respect, and there have been times when I just told him, I just say one thing, west. Like if I'm stuck up in the east for a while, I just say west. And then he'll give me out west somewhere. I mean, not all the way west, but he'll give me out west. Or I remember there's a time he gave me a load that paid okay, but it was like a super heavy load. And all I said was, can you find me something a little bit more satisfying? And he said, all right, I'll see what I can do. I said, no, this load's fine, just on the next one. He's like, okay, boom. The next load was 30, 8 miles for $600 or something like that. So I'm fine with my dispatcher. My dispatcher is good to go. No issues with him whatsoever. You talking about my dispatcher, James? You know my James? Hey, Michael Page, do you know who my dispatcher is? Put his last name. How do you know my dispatcher? Do we talk or something? All right, Donnie Dave. Man, listen, this. How do you know him? Did I? That listen, that is the man right there. I don't want to really put his name out there because I don't want anybody trying to go over there and get him. But that is the man. But listen, there's no reason to be negative about this stuff here. I mean, I probably have had the most negative experience of just about any lease driver that's came in around my period of time with all these, deductibles and accidents that, all that stuff is stuff that the average person's not going to go through. The average person is going to be out longer than I am. The average person is probably going to make, if they got their truck when I got my truck, has probably made more money because they probably don't stay home quite as long and they probably stay out longer than I do, with the exception of this last situation. Michael, how do you know my dispatcher? But yeah, 2 months was entirely too long. And I plan on staying out a little bit longer just because I wasn't sure how this. Oh, okay. Oh, shoot. The low choice board. I would want to get on the low choice board, but I don't want James to take offense to me asking that. So I haven't even asked to do that. But I was going to stay out longer just because of this coronavirus situation. I wasn't sure. My thoughts were let me stack money while it's out there, and didn't plan on it lasting for 2 months. 2 months was entirely too long to be out. Like I said, 30 days, maybe 40 at the most. Yeah, James is all about that business, though. I mean, that's the one thing I say about James. You ain't going to get no phone conversation with him. That's one thing you ain't going to do is have a, and I kind of like it that he's just that fucking, like, to the point. It's like, like James he's good to go. And I liked him ever since I met him when me and my first trainer got into it. I think James actually thought that he was going to be pulling. This is the funny thing about it. I think James thought he was going to be pulling kind of a power move on me because me and my first trainer we blew up at the end, and James was asked some questions, and I was just like, you know what? Rather than having this conversation over the phone, I'm gonna come down there. And then we had our conversation face to face. But the only time James really calls me is if I turn down a load, and he will call if I do that. He tries to be, James looks like he's read that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, because he tries using all them tactics when that happens. Yeah, I heard about that, Mike. I heard that they've been having problems with that low choice board, but I'm going to stay there. The only reason I want that low choice board is because there's certain places where I really just don't want to go. And if there's a way that I could kind of, like, if I could just stay out, just stay out of certain areas. It's not even about the money. I'll take less money to run in better areas. It's not always about the money for me. No, I'm not doing any training yet. To be honest with you, I almost thought that I was there. I was like, you know what? I almost think I'm to the point where I would feel comfortable training. This last trip to LA or the LA area really made me rethink what I thought about myself. I got to the Walmart in Colton, California. They asked me to back into a dock, which should have been an easy dock, but there was if you guys have been there, you know that night transportation does a lot of their local stuff out of there. I had a night transportation truck that was sitting in front of my dock forever. Really no room up there, but I was like, let me go ahead and just try to get it in because I can't wait because I'm holding up trucks. Barely any room up front. Try to back in, and it's just not working. So rather than resetting up and doing it from the very beginning, I just kept trying to make it work. Didn't work. Pulled forward, backed all the way up once traffic cleared out. So now we're like 15 minutes later, and then the truck's not there and I back in. But it's those situations that make me feel like, am I like ready to do that? There was another situation in Burbank, California, where I'm backing in off a street, cars on both sides of the street. And it's just like, it was just, I don't think obviously I don't think that everybody gets in there easily. The guy that does that run 3 times a day is in a day cab, and he even said, I'm just not sure how you guys with sleepers get in here, but if I can get in there, that means somebody can get in there easier. And when I get to that point, that might be when I do it. Here's the backing situation. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but this is all parking along this. God damn it. This was a situation where you had to back into this dock off the street. There's parking along both sides of the street, kind of down here on both sides. So you really don't have room to do much of anything, but you have to get it into a specific dock. And my dock was this second dock, third dock over from the right or whatever. But just some people look at that and not even think twice about it. To me, that was a hard back. All right, let me get to these comments. But here's what I might do. If anybody wants to get in contact with me, I don't know if that was for me or not, but anybody wants to get in contact with me, email address is in the description below, nohippiebbq@gmail.com. I may not do training, but what I might do is if there's anybody that has completed their 50,000 miles, because I have heard there have been people that have completed their 50,000 miles that don't like their trainer, that still want to have a training type environment where it's not necessarily training. I might do something like that. I might take somebody on just to tune them up a little bit. Male. So trying to get back on some of these comments because some of these comments were a little derogatory, I was thinking. Okay, so I'd done a video where I said I personally haven't felt the freight. And then I even went as far as to say I know that freight is low, but I haven't felt it. But there was somebody that wanted to make a point here that said, I'm insane. I'm an owner operator and rates are completely ass. I've been hauling Trump's wall. Now, if there's one thing I could tell you I have not seen, if there's any flatbedders out there that have been hauling Donald Trump's wall, please let me know because I have not seen any segments of the wall getting hauled anywhere on the highway. But he says he's been hauling Trump's wall, and it went from $3,500 with detention to $3,300 to $3,100, and now it's $2,700 with no detention. So is anybody out there hauling Donald Trump's wall? I haven't seen it out there myself, so I don't know. First of all, I wouldn't be getting into no highway, honey, crazy bag situation or anything like that in the first place. I'm just far too disciplined for that in general, but it could be something, here's the problem, isn't necessarily whether you're disciplined enough to do it or not. It's what somebody can say and what somebody's going to believe out of that. So I think you can get kind of in a situation where you might be doing everything all right. Somebody says the wrong thing and it could be a wrap. I mean, to be honest with you, I was thinking about having my daughter out on the truck with me, and there's just a whole nother list of stuff that you have to go through just even thinking about having a female on the truck. You know what I mean? It's just not as easy as having another. Well, first of all, even just having another guy on the truck is a totally separate layer of stuff that you have to work around. But then having another female on the truck, that's an entirely different level. You know what I mean? So that would probably be more. I don't even know how two females can do a truck together.
You could just tell them because my wife said so.
Well, my wife says she wants me to say it because she said so, but she's over here trying to make a power move and shit right now. That's why I can't do it, because my wife said so. There you go. Why don't you put that in the comments since you want to run your mouth? Oh, man. So I'm going to tell you, I got back here on, Monday night. Was that the night we had that pizza and everything? I don't know. Ate some pizza, all this kind of stuff. And then I was just like, man, I just feel like I'm all clogged up from the last month out there. Man, I drank a ton of Metamucil, boy. Anyway, I feel a little lighter on my feet right now. What? Anyway, okay, now the question is, who is the better cook, my wife or me? Now listen, there's no reason for anybody to feel embarrassed about this or not. I'm just not going to answer that question.
Look at the comments.
Okay. She held it down on that reply right there. Andrea's life, that's my wife right there. So she admitted it. I just don't feel like cooking right now. Where are you going? Where are you going?
They're going to the store.
What are you going to the store for? You know, get some macaroni and cheese because I plan on doing a macaroni and cheese recipe with all that cheese I brought back from the truck.
So you want this pasta? Macaroni.
I want macaroni noodles. I want some bacon.
Okay. Wait. No, thin cut bacon or
It doesn't matter.
It does.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
And then I want some eggs.
Okay.
Heavy cream.
Okay. Last one.
Heavy cream. It's in the milk section.
Those noodles.
All right, let's see. So anyway, guys, listen, my first year in the trucking industry, a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. A lot easier of a job than I thought it was going to be. But like I said, I have a clear goal I'm trying to get to. I really don't plan on being out here for no long time. Like I said, I think 5 years I should be able to knock it out. Go to Prime. I'm telling you, you know what? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than anything. I was almost about to choose night transportation, and I could not be happier with my decision to choose Prime. And one thing whenever I'm in the terminal, I never hear anybody complaining about anything. I've never, I mean, I see it on Facebook. That seems to be where you see people complaining at. But when you're in the terminal, I'd never hear anybody complaining. Who's the better driver? I'm the better driver, period. Whether it's cars, trucks, planes, automobiles, whatever, compared to my wife. I mean, if Tom, you were good to go. There's nothing. Truck drivers have it excellent at Prime. You know who really has it good at Prime? The in-house people. Those are the ones that take advantage of all the stuff that Prime has. All the stuff that Prime has, you don't really get to take advantage of much. You really don't get to go to the gym that much. You don't really get to eat, get those reasonably priced meals at the, at the grill, restaurant and grill that much. You really don't get to go down and get your nails and your hair did that much. You don't get to go to the movie theater. You don't get to do all that stuff that much. The people that really make out with Prime are the in-house associates. Those are the people that make out. But it is nice to go out there, when your truck's, well, here's what I wouldn't do. If you're going to be there with your truck in the shop, do what you got to do. I don't think, if you're on a load that pays a lot of money, I may not drive through Prime. At one point, if I was driving through and it was kind of around where I was going to take a 10-hour break, I'd stop in Prime. But there's so many truck stops around there, that you don't necessarily need to stop there. But I just stopped there just because it was like going home. Man, if you go in, you could get stuck there. So now I probably won't go into Prime unless I'm there for a reason. I won't just stop there for a 10-hour break because I've heard too many people pull in there with some good loads and then them try to repair some trailer or something and then kick you off the load and give it to somebody else. Now you're waiting around. I don't think I'm going to do that. As far as pay schedule goes with Prime, yeah, I don't think there's any company right off the bat you're gonna make any more money with. And if you happen to be able to drive one of them little trucks, the lightweight trucks, there's a girl I went to training with that drove one of those lightweight trucks, and she was killing it. I mean, if you want to talk about somebody making as much as she was making a lot of money. doing that. So those extra 5 cents a mile, that adds up. So if you're looking at, even just take 2,000 miles a week, which is pretty low, that's an extra $100 a week right there. So that's $400 a month. Plus, you're probably running closer to 2,500 miles anyway. So those lightweight trucks make some money. If you could deal with that for a while, just stack your money up and then move out of the lightweight into a bigger one if you want. But that's a lot of money. Yeah, I got a good load coming out of the yard. Last time I was there, was when my truck was getting repaired, and they did the APU had to get rebuilt. That was a lot of money. New fuel tank, new side fairings, and then a new quarter panel on those Peterbilts. Had to get a new quarter panel. That took about a week. And people were complaining about getting loads out of there. So I don't know if I should be saying this or not. My dispatcher always dispatches me out of Springfield. I never go through driver lineup, ever. Never go through driver lineup. Always get dispatched out. And anyway, I told them I'm available. Told them that I went to driver lineup, and they told me they weren't going to have anything until Monday. So we just said, hold tight. I'll get you something. And told me somebody was coming in with the load that was going to, California. Picked that load up, and I was out the next day. So if there's one thing I would say about my trainer, or not my trainer, my dispatcher, is he is very proactive. Who was Ben, tell me this. Who was your recruiter? Because I had a problem with my recruiter too. And I've mentioned that in videos before. I don't just sugarcoat this whole Prime thing. Please tell me who your recruiter was, Ben. Oh, I remember. I saw a bunch of people up in the cafe, but I think I remember you, Ben, because you ended up walking out. All right, Eric. I appreciate you stopping by, man. All right, trying to remember who my recruiter's name was. I'm not sure I want to put him out there. Let me see. Oh. Yeah, I remember telling you that, Ben. I remember talking to you specifically. And you've been driving it for a lot longer than I had, if I remember right. At least a few years or something like that. I don't know who Crazy Bag's recruiter was. Man, the information about Prime is just simple. It's kind of hard to get into, and there have been people that I spoke to that got turned down with Prime that I thought was absolutely stupid. There was a guy that had been on his job for like 20 years and was retired, and then didn't get accepted because of job history or something like that. I thought that was like completely stupid, and maybe I'm not seeing the entire picture, but that was the case. Anyway, there was a guy that a lot of people helped donate money to a while back, and we helped get us outside of foreclosure. A lot of people from my channel donated to that, and he got back up on his feet. He got leasing with Prime, making some good money, and he sent me $300 to pay forward to another driver. So at some point, I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with that $300 because I'd like to pay that forward, maybe add a little bit more to it, or we could do something fun with it. I don't know. Next time I'm in a terminal, maybe I just take some students, go buy them a bunch of gear. I'm not sure. I thought they went over my job history before I was in orientation, but I had the same job for like so long, like 17 years, that it wasn't really going to be an issue. But I do think they were still verifying, and I do have a problem with that. Why are you so in such a hurry to get people in just to be kind of behind the ball when you get there? So I don't know. I think I remember that kind of happening a little bit, but I'm not certain. So personally, I wouldn't leave until I had clearance or had everything good to go before I left. Unless you felt comfortable with it, then I might go ahead and leave. This has been 2 months coming here, so I'm not going to be shy with that. Are you getting loads? Oh, Rummaging Chaos. She had the best YouTube video ever, and she took it down. Oh my God, I was just looking for that video the other day. That was the best video ever. Anyway, go subscribe to Rummaging Chaos. That was the best training video ever. Anyway, she took it down. Okay, am I getting loads going west? They've kept me in the east so far. I don't want to go. Rummaging Chaos. I got out west and got loaded super. I got out like west, like California west. I was getting loads inside California before I even dropped my last load. I wasn't having a problem. I got a load out of California at $2.38 a mile. I added some miles to that load because I didn't want to take I-70 over the Colorado mountains. So I added like 125 miles to that and went south into Albuquerque up to Colorado. But they had loads coming out of there. I'm telling you, I didn't have a problem with it. And whenever I'm west, Salt Lake City always seems to have some good stuff for me. And so does, if they don't have anything in Salt Lake City or Ogden or somewhere up there, which they always seem to, if not Twin Falls, Idaho, pick up a Chobani load out of there. A lot of truckers don't want to go east because parking is asinine when you get out to like the East Coast. If you're dealing with the middle of the country, especially, I love like the middle, like Nebraska, Kansas, a lot of those places, Oklahoma, there's always places to park. The further east and the further west you go, the harder it is to find parking, especially if you start getting in that New York area. If you go there a lot, you're able to find these different places and stuff like that. But if you only go there every now and then, it's just, you're not there enough to really find these like little places to park and stuff like that. So I really don't like going to Pennsylvania, but Pennsylvania would be the farthest east I'd like to go. At least northeast, and then, I like North Carolina, South Carolina. I like the Southeast, all that. But Listen, West is fine. If you, well, Rummage and Chaos, you saw that back that I had to do into that ice cream place. A lot of that stuff out West is, especially in California, is almost like some of that stuff that you see out East, where a lot of these docks weren't made for no 53-foot truck. So my entire trip out in LA area, because it was all pretty much LA, was all difficult backs. It was none of that, like, where you pull in and, you got all this space around you and everything. It was all busy, whether it was busy streets, at the Walmart, it was busy traffic, truck traffic. And then actually the one place was easy where I loaded up at to come out. No. One of the places was easy, but it's just all tight. What's up, Roush? I think it's in there. What's up, Ruben? But here's the thing. Listen, I'm not no trucker, no real trucker, nothing like that. I mean, what I really hope that this channel can be is the wisdom that comes along with old age. And when I tell you that the best thing that you can do for yourself is have a little bit of money behind you, if you can do that, if you can stack some money aside, to weather these little storms we're going through now, or just in general, that is what separates the people that survive and don't. And that's the one thing I'm going to tell you. If there's one thing I could tell my younger self, would be to save money more vigorously than I even did back then. And those of you guys that are younger, rummaging chaos in your 20s, if I could go back to my 23, if I could go back to being 23, 24, I would be, if I could go back to being that age, I would be worth $4 million right now. If I could go back to that age, knowing what I know now, that's how much I would be worth right now, knowing what I know. So all you guys are young, you have everything in front of you. You guys can kill it. Just don't do stupid shit. The world is your oyster. Go take this shit. Let me find some more of these comments while I'm 26. Okay. You know what? Invest however you want. It could be real estate. Me and my wife own, a place that we just paid off, and then we live here in this place. I've really loved real estate, but it could be anything. Just don't spend it on dumb shit. That's the problem, is people go buying stupid shit with money. Whether you're an owner operator going and buying like a truck that you don't need to buy, or, back in my days, I used to be about clubbing, wasting money, doing all that kind of stuff, buying cars every 3, 4, 5 months and just stupid stuff like that. And Ruben, I will not be on the road more than 5 years. That's it. Because here's the problem, is the money from trucking is not the money that is going to make me money. The money I'm making in trucking is sustaining me, and it's allowing me to show income for the stuff that I'm going to buy that's going to make me money, if that makes sense. So this isn't, the money from trucking isn't what, it's trying to flip this money you're making in trucking to something else. Or you could be a vigorous saver. I know people, listen, I did a loan for a single lady who was 34 years old, and she lived like shit. And she saved almost every, like, she didn't have any stocks, no bond. I mean, she didn't have anything, no 401k, nothing. She saved her money up like didn't spend anything. And when she turned 33, I think she'd worked at the same place since she was like in her teens. She wasn't making a whole lot of money, but by the time she turned 33 or whatever, she was ready to buy a little townhouse cash with all her money. So you could go that route as well. But Ben, I do go home. I take my ass home. And I still, I was out a little longer than I wanted this last time, but I still made good money. So it really depends on what you need to make. I don't need to make $4,000 a week. I really don't need to make $2,000 a week. I really don't need to make $1,000 a week. But I need to make enough to make it worth my time to be out here. That's what I need to do. And it's hard to judge that week by week or even month by month. That's kind of a year by year thing. A lot of truck drivers look at things so short term that you never can focus on the larger picture. Everybody's paycheck to paycheck. What'd you make last settlement? What'd you make last settlement? Look at 6 months. Look at a year. Everybody makes mistakes. Roush, I'm telling you, it was going through that bad down period when we almost lost it all, in 2008, whatever. And there were people that were going through the same thing that I was going through back in 2007, 2008, whatever time period that was, that looked at things and said, you know what? I'm losing money on these houses because at the time I was owing more on the house than it was worth. And a lot of these people were dumping their houses and getting rid of them, things like that. And I decided to hold on to those houses. And that actually is what has been paying off now, is just that discipline to hold on to that and not get rid of it back then. Listen, I don't know if lease is the better choice or not. Here's what I will tell you if you're going to compare leasing to driving, is that, or leasing to a company, is that there is no better. To compare lease to company, you have to compare things that are really hard to compare. So with the company, you get 401k and you get the match and your insurance is going to be a little bit less, things like that. On a lease, things you can't calculate is what's your leasing completion bonus going to be. It's hard to factor that into how much you're making right now. So when it comes to leasing versus company, I personally don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do it. But one thing I can tell you is if you go into the lease because you think it's more money, that probably wouldn't be why I would choose the lease over the company. Personally, I chose it because it was more flexibility. The ability for me to sit home and be like, don't worry about me. I'll call you when I'm ready to come out. That's why. Because, if I was company, I really don't feel like I've had a good night's sleep yet. And was it Thursday I got in, Monday night? So Monday night wouldn't have counted for company, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'd have had one more day off and had to be coming out. I couldn't do it. So it was that, or it was the ability for me to say, because I do think that not my dispatcher, but a dispatcher tried pulling the wool over my eyes and get me on a load going down in New York City and told me it was like, was telling me about the load and then sends me the load. It's 2 drops over 2 days in New York City, and as a lease driver, I could say, no, I ain't doing that. That's why I chose to go lease, not because of the money. I don't know anything about Andrus transportation. It'll put you through the things you go through that much. I'm gonna tell you, there was some stuff that I'd gone through, and I've actually gone through 2 hard periods in my life. One just kind of made me realize it was possible, that it could happen, but I was too young to actually let it sink in. The second one woke me up and made me think about it. The first one was in my 20s, and I got to a position where I was so broke, I was trying to feed a cat dog food. Finally got on my feet, all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what makes me what I am today, just feeling that sense of brokenness. Even though I was more broke, I guess you could say, in 2007, 8, whenever that was, I was probably more broke, but just the sense of still owning property didn't make me feel like I was as broke as I actually was. Yeah, you could always turn the truck back in. Now, that's the one thing about this lease purchase that is going to kind of change things up a little bit. So the lease purchase, once I put that $14,000 down, I could still walk away from it, but I'd be walking away from that $14,000 too. So, that kind of changes things. I need to talk to a few people. I was going to talk to Junior Honduras. We spoke on the phone a little bit. Maybe I could even put somebody in that truck and not even have to run that truck or something. I don't know. We'll see about that. Healthcare is huge. And that's, I'll be honest with you, there was a long time in my youth that I didn't have health care, and it was just by the grace of God that I didn't get hit with anything. And I did get hit with some stuff, but I just had the money to pay for it. Like I broke a leg, so I ended up having to pay that out cash, stuff like that. Just things that, when you're young, you don't think about all that stuff. But when you're married to somebody like me, we test the limits of the healthcare system. My wife's going to kill me for that one. Anyway. Let's see. Hey.
Since you're the better cook, I didn't ask if you wanted any of my food.
Shut up. Rummaging Chaos, if you still have that video saved in your unfiled, I know you didn't just delete it. Could you at least just send me the link unlisted so I could watch that? That was the best video ever. Most of the time, my dispatcher doesn't take student upgrade. Yeah, and that's the thing is, when I went to upgrade, because I ended up having to upgrade twice. I upgraded the company because I decided to stay on my trainer's truck. This was really near the end of our training. Man, when I was in Salt Lake City, I was roommates with this guy that was trying to change his life and make his life better. And I mean, he was literally working on his last, $100 and stuff like that. And I was going to take him out to eat just because that'd be something I'd do. And rather than doing that, I just figured I was going to spend $10 taking him out to eat. So I gave him, $10, and he acted like I would give him $1,000 or something like that. So you just never know what people are going through and what can actually, help people. And I haven't ran into him out here on the road. I hope I do, just to see that he's doing better one of these days. But people come to trucking. I mean, I've met a lot of people that came from a lot of harsh backgrounds that are doing really well right now. So that is one good thing about trucking. Are you asking me if I'm going to leave Prime once my truck is paid off? I haven't even got my truck yet, to be honest with you. So what my plan would be to run it, for 3 years, pay it off hopefully within 2 years. So pay it off in 2 years and then run it for 2 or 3 years paid off, save a bunch of money, and then get set up to basically coast into retirement. Maybe not retire, but just to take that easy job. Like I could be asking you if you want heavy cream with your mocha latte or something. I don't know. Don't even be asking who's the boss. Everybody knows who's the boss around here.
The dogs. Yeah, who is the boss?
People tell Prime all the time if man, there's no end in anything. If Prime doesn't work out for somebody, there's somebody out there that's going to work for somebody. There's people that, there's a bunch of companies that people say are bad companies that people are still enjoying these companies or, getting accomplished what they need to get accomplished at those companies. May Company, I've seen some videos from a guy at May Company. I think he just left just to get out of the trucking industry, but he was having a good time in May. There's somebody that's at CR England that's doing good. So even if things don't work out at Prime, there's always somewhere else. Forgot these comments because I've had some crazy comments lately. See, the problem with local in Colorado is this different than local than some of these other places. Local in Colorado, first of all, it depends on what you're calling local. You could be going from Denver to Grand Junction or Denver to Salt Lake City. Those aren't runs you want to be doing in the winter. At least not me. Like I said, I'm not no real trucker. I'm not trying to be out there chaining up every day, 2-3 times a day, dealing with all that snow. I'd rather, get my ass out here in the Midwest. I'll deal with that snow a little bit, go down the south. I'll deal with 80 every now and then bring me back home. I'll deal with it, whatever snow I got to deal with then. But I'm not trying to do that. And I'm definitely not trying to be slipping and breaking my ass, like unloading a bunch of stuff to some food, restaurant or something like that. Local's too much work for me, even if I was home every night. All right, Chris, if you ever need anything, call me, man. But more or less, really the only thing that I want to do, I've had these comments, a ton of these, you can't see them, but some of these comments are good, some of them bad, come in a bunch of different flavors. And really, all I want, my purpose is just be accountable for whatever you sign up for, whether this be an owner, operator, lease company, whatever. And then if you're coming into this industry, I just don't see what there is to complain about. If, a lot of these people that are complaining, if you can't live off of, and I'm going to tell you this right now, if you can't live off of, making $1,500 a week, or if you're complaining about that, I just don't know. You just have too many bills, or your life is set up in a, I don't know. I see people complaining about stuff, and I just don't see how. Sometimes I make a lot more than that. Sometimes I make less than that. But that might be about where it is usually, especially once you throw in me paying for all these deductibles. I am doing a lease purchase AN. I already put my down payment on it and everything. It's supposed to be here in September, unless the coronavirus stops the truck. As a matter of fact, let me tell you. I got some pictures. All right, so you know I had to go with the Peterbilt, right? So we're going with that, but that's going to be in an orange color. It's called a Sunburst Orange. So that's the truck. Then No Hippie, right? Boom. That's going to be the logo on it with No Hippie LLC around the outsides of it. That's what I'm talking about. So I am doing a lease purchase. And every month that it takes for it to get here, I'm just wasting money. So when it's paid off, that means I could run for. Actually, you can run for somebody else even before it's paid off. But I'm just not sure that's a good choice. You know, I'm seeing people that have. You know, I talked to somebody this left Prime, running Landstar, and they're like saying they made more money at Prime. So I know the times are a little bit rough right now, but I don't know. I personally, I'm not always looking for the next best thing. I've ran into a lot of people in life that set themselves back, always looking for the next best thing. So I'm probably going to run my entire tenure at Prime. I don't think that unless something changes, there's a reason for me to do anything other than that. Yeah, I was hoping to get that truck for the summer, but it looks like it's going to come in right as winter's about to begin. But that's good because I'll have new tires all over that bad boy. If there's two things I put a premium on, is good tires and good vision. So I'll buy tires before it's even necessary, and good vision. Got to have good headlights, so I'll pay extra money for good headlights. Is Prime letting y'all run under relief Okay. Is Prime letting us run under relief hours of service rules? They are and they were as long as the load dictated that. So normally, I don't have any of the paperwork here with me, but at the top of the paperwork, generally it would say something about that it was a relief load or something like that. As long as it said that on the top of the paperwork, you could run that. I typically didn't find it necessary to run under those because even though it was stated as one of those type of loads, you still had enough time to get there. A lot of these places weren't taking early orders or early appointments. And just think about this, and I don't know how this would play out, but let's say that you ran over your 11-hour drive clock, maybe your 14, ran up, whatever. You ran over that, and then you ended up getting in an accident and killing somebody. They would come back on that somehow. So I just didn't think that the benefit was worth even doing it. Now, if I was going to miss the appointment, I might think about it, but there was never going to be an issue with me making the appointment on it. You know, whether it's Cascadia, Peterbilt, you know, I think I might do a video on it because I emptied my entire truck out, which is what I do when I come home, get everything out of it. I might do a video on that. Personally, I trained in a Cascadia. My first trainer for about a week and a half, I was with him, had a Peterbilt, and it just took that week and a half for me to understand that there's just certain things that I'm going to put priority on. And I look at the safety of that stability in that Peterbilt more than I look. Like, even if I need to spend more time in the shop, just knowing that if I hit a pothole, I'm going to stay in my lane is worth me having to deal with that. Or I know that it's going to handle better in the snow is worth that. There's just certain things that I don't think there's anything wrong with the Freightliner, but there's just the little things, the safety things are the main things of why I'd like the Peterbilt. The not bumping all over the place or getting bumped out of your lane, the being heavier, dealing with the snow better. That's a safety issue. When you get to the nitpicky stuff, like the car looks like, the Peterbilt looks like a Cadillac on the inside. Wood grain interior, leather wrap steering wheel, just a nicer interior. The little screen on the back is like a higher quality. It's a magnet as opposed to Velcro. I mean, there's a bunch of nitpicky things, but the safety is why I choose that Peterbilt. Even backing, once you get used to it being longer, the backing is even easier in the Peterbilt. So, I mean, that's just me. Hold on a second. But the order's already in, so a Peterbilt it is. Plus, you know what? No matter what anybody says, a Peterbilt's worth more money. I already did the research 3 years down the line. So whenever you're buying something, you always got to look at the resale value. If I'm going to sell it 3 years from now, you got to think about that as well. I don't have any problems with the Cascadia. Personally. I just don't think it's a safer choice. Well, shit, I thought I was going to get into some other stuff, but I guess I'm not going to get into those other comments that were coming up since we're already damn near 2 hours into this. So, anyway, I think it might be time to go ahead and wrap this up. Shoot. See if there's anything I missed up in here. Let's see. So does that mean when you pay? All right. Yeah, I just missed something. So does that mean when you pay up? Okay, we already did that. You know what, Jeffro, I'm not going to ever be able to teach anybody anything about trucking. Hopefully what it does is it teaches, or it doesn't teach, because I ain't no teacher, but it gives a different perspective, because I think a lot of people look at trucking like trucking, and that's where a lot of people get into problems, is they don't look at things from the outside looking in. And I think that is kind of the difference in the way I look at stuff. So, there's a lot of people that you're going to be able to get that trucking type stuff or the trucking business sense from or the trucking stuff from. But looking at things from the outside in, before I go, I'm going to tell you this. So when I was in the mortgage business, we used to always have, these people that would come and talk to us about, motivational type stuff and stuff like that. So for the most part, these people that came and talked to us were not people in the mortgage industry. They were people from other walks of life that were there to give you a different perspective on things. And I think that one thing about trucking is everything is so close mind closed-minded. And I could just tell by some of the comments that I've got on, certain things is that everybody's trying to look, or not everybody, but there's a lot of people that just want to look at everything through the lens of a truck driver, when at least half of what you're dealing with out here has nothing to do with truck driving. It's everything else and your perspective on how you relate to things. And if you relate to everything like a truck driver, I think that limits you to some degree. So hopefully what I can do is kind of change that kind of perspective. Just like when somebody is, I had somebody that came and spoke to our company about, it was business. It was a guy that basically had nothing to do with the mortgage business, started up a little lawn mowing company business, and how he became successful was in no way a way that somebody in my industry would have looked at going about it, but there was a lot of lessons to be learned in that. So hopefully I could kind of do that. So anyway, that's what I'm hoping to be here for, because I'm not going to be able to shed a lot of light on trucking. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I do appreciate you guys stopping by. It does mean a lot to me. And we will see how we're going to spend this money that was paid forward to help out some other truck drivers out there. Anyway, Jeffro, if you want to talk about that lease, like I said, just emails in the description, give me a call, whatever, and we can go over that, make you feel comfortable before you get into it. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for stopping by. I appreciate it, and I'm about to get out of here.